my wife once said, because we're talking about my themes in my poetry, and she said, there's always this recurrence of the image of light. Maybe you are a poet of light. I said, I wish I were. I wish I were. I'm usually in the dark.
And as I reflect, Butch, as we fondly call him, is truly a poet of light. Through his works and deeds, he brought light to people's lives as a mentor and teacher. He became a member of various teaching panels of writers' workshops held in the Cordilleras and Mindanao. He also inspired students in English and creative writing in Mindanao State University, Silliman University, then Baguio College's Foundation, and of course, the University of the Philippines, Baguio.
When God said, "Let there be light," it must have been as though he had spoken in a language no less than that of light. The act, the deed itself, proclaimed the truth beyond mere articulation. Light was medium, message, deed.
Through his cultural work, indeed, he brought light in many aspects. In 2007 and 2014, he became the Baguio Cordillera representative to the NCCA Executive Committee for Literary Arts. During his term, his determination to help out writers in the regions bore fruit. The Cordillera Writers' Workshop was initiated in part from his desire to help writers in the Cordilleras develop their craft. Other than the Cordilleras, he was very active in efforts to enliven writing in his native Chabacano, as he actively participated in the Western Mindanao Writers' Workshops held at Ateneo de Zamboanga. He truly made a mark. Western Mindanao Writers' Workshop Director Servando Halili Jr. said, he not only helped in the birth of new writers, but showed by example how Chabacano can be cultivated into a language of literature. Halili went to the extent of saying that the workshop will not be complete without Butch. He also wrote in Chabacano, as evidenced by his book, Balsa, Poemas Chabacano. The book is a collection of 31 poems in Chabacano with translations into English. He wanted to encourage writers in Chabacano to write more works in the rich but often disregarded local language. He co-edited several books, among which were Baguio Calligraphy and the Ubud Anthology, in which he compiled and collected works from writers in the regions. For Ubud, he was co-editor for the Northern Luzon and Mindanao collection.
It appears we can no longer deny what the ancients said about the stars and ourselves, knowing as we do now that their rays reach us, and subtly, but nevertheless like strings pull tight or loose.
Indeed, he pulled heartstrings tight and loose to produce 4 books of poetry, namely The Words and Other Poems in 1997, Womb of Water in 2007, 2011's Balsa, Poemas Chabacano, and Snail Fever, Poems of 2 Decades just last year. He loved his craft that the country loved back. He was given awards deservedly. He was awarded the NCCA Writers' Prize for Epic Poetry in 2003, and he is a 5-time recipient of the prestigious Palanca testament to being an award-winning author these words from his friends. Nicolo Vitog of the Ateneo de Manila University wrote, "Butch struck me as a kind and cheerful friend. His friend, the late Ernie Yee, told me that it was Butch who made it possible for Dad Ed and Mom Edith Tiempo to see Ernie's draft of his first poem. I was impressed by the account of Butch's generosity, but even more affected by how he never called attention to himself. He wished that the salt of the South would run through my veins. The salt is in my system, and I know that parts of the reason are his beautiful words." UP Baguio Professor Roland Rabang said, "His presence brings upon me a kind of importance, as if what I do matters, and if he speaks to me about things that I labor through, I am in the same league as he is as far as my being a writer is concerned." And a former colleague in Silliman University, Elson Elizaga, narrated, "Butch was a friend, a brother, and a teacher. He was influential in the creation of a major poem and a story that I wrote. He frequently encouraged me to write. When I told him I was no longer writing as frequently as I used to, he said, 'What will happen to Philippine literature?' Indeed, what will happen to Philippine literature? I guess he would smile and write a poem about this. But beyond his works for the country which brought poetry into light, he is truly the poet of light."
We are no less than the emblems we have made of them out in the night sky. Every joint in our bodies is tinctured with a flash of starlight. How else could our bones hold together if not properly constellated? Flesh burns, blood boils, only by the grace of the nearest star.